Hello, lovely learners. Welcome back to ALifeLearned. Today I just wanted to share a quick little video about some incredible accomplishments that have happened here in London through activism from frontline workers. For anyone who hasn't yet seen the articles, there was an individual, Dan Odshorn, I might have pronounced that wrong, so my apologies, but he is an outreach worker who specifically works with homeless, and he and a group of other frontline workers developed a coalition called the Forgotten 519. And through this coalition and with the support of basically frontline workers across the city, they developed three very specific demands to make of City Hall to make changes so that less people who are dealing with homelessness would die. And their approach was basically a hunger strike. They had already tried to meet with the city about these issues, and the city was non-responsive, which doesn't surprise me. That's how it's been every time I try to approach them too. So they met and decided that they needed to take serious action and show City Hall just how important it is that they act now and not continue to ignore the problems. We've had, what was it, 34? I lost my numbers. 34 deaths this year and 167 since 2020. And these were very clearly preventable and premature deaths. And so that was the biggest concern of these frontline workers. So with the work of the coalition, everyone agreed that it was a good idea or a productive, helpful idea for Dan to go on a hunger strike as a way to show City Hall, this is no joke. We're not pretending. You are ignoring real deaths that you could be taking action on. So we're going to show just how important it is by putting someone's health on the line. It was his choice. He volunteered. But in that way, that's how they were trying to show how incredibly serious it was. And they got it into the paper, obviously. I'm going to share some articles below. And they got an incredible outpouring of support. It was amazing. Over 200 people showed up at their first rally, and lots of people showed up at future rallies moving forward. This all began on last Tuesday, August 2nd. And then having seen about it in the paper and in someone who I follow tweeting it, I was really excited about the actions that were being taken, the fact that people were taking real steps to make real change. But I was initially really skeptical that the city would respond at all, because there was actually a hunger strike years back, probably a decade ago now, and unfortunately I can't remember the names involved, but there was an Indigenous leader who went up to Ottawa and sat in front of Parliament and said to Harper, the Prime Minister of the time, you know, I want to talk to you about what's going on with my people, about how they're being mistreated. I want you to come out and talk to me about it. And Harper refused, and so the leader went on a hunger strike, and it went on for a long time. I don't exactly remember how long, but Harper never came out. He never came to speak to them. He didn't care about that person going on a hunger strike. And so with that, knowing that happened, I was skeptical that the city would respond at all. But it turns out at a municipal level, there's a little bit more accountability. Who knew? So he only had to starve himself for a few days, thankfully. What he basically did was drink electrolytes on a regular basis to keep his general systems functioning, but otherwise didn't eat anything from Tuesday until Friday. And then, interestingly enough, I went to interview because that was one of my days off. And he himself was so exhausted after having done the hunger strike and also speaking for so many people and with so many reporters, that he wasn't really feeling able to do an interview. Totally understandable. But a supporter came by who had been working with them through the time and seemed to have a lot of information about what was going on. So I got a little interview with her to share with you guys regarding their success. So here it is.
Hi, my name is Victoria, and I'm here to support the Forgotten 519. They had put out 3 demands to City Hall here in London, Ontario. The first 2 consisted of leave tents and encampments alone, no more tearing them down, no more invasions of them. The third was to open 2 new shelters here in London immediately.
Sorry, what was the second?
So the first and the second were about the tents and encampments.
Oh, okay,
yeah,
cool.
So they both intertwined with each other, and then
Cool.
the third was the shelters.
Excellent.
And so until the city met our demands, Dan went on a hunger strike. Today is day 4. We just found out about 15 minutes ago, I did anyways, that the city has met our demands and things are going to change around here.
Incredible.
Yes.
You guys have done work that we just didn't think was possible.
Amazing. Yeah.
Can't thank you enough.
No problem.
And so, what does this mean? Do they have dates? Have they set deadlines?
I believe so. The coalition know a lot more of the dates and the specifics and everything that's happening.
Fair enough.
All that was shared with me is that we won and things will come to fruition hopefully very, very quickly. I do know the 2 shelters, the date for that, they said September 2nd.
Excellent.
So let's hope that they keep that under the agreement, or I can see us right back out here again.
Yeah, we are not stopping,
That's
right?
right.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for talking with me.
No problem. Thank you.
So there you have it. Despite my skepticism, they were successful, and it actually really filled me with hope that maybe change can be made. I've just been making efforts towards other causes that have had so little action and so little response, that I really wasn't sure if it was going to go anywhere, regardless of someone putting their wellness on the line. But they succeeded, and I'm just so proud of them and so proud to call myself a Londoner in this case. So basically they met with the city over a few days and came to general agreements. So to clarify, their demands were an immediate end to removal of homelessness encampments in the city parks, along the Thames Valley Parkway and in empty parking lots and derelict properties. Because since I believe around the beginning of this year, the city had been ripping down all encampments. They had allowed them throughout the pandemic, but as they felt the pandemic was waning, they felt that they weren't needed anymore, which is really naive. And so that has stopped. They're going to be allowing encampments again, which I may actually be releasing a video about in the future, as I've gotten a request for one. And they've also said that the city needs to offer more support for relief workers at homelessness encampments, so specifically providing workers to support people in those situations. So those were number 1 and 2 that Victoria was talking about. And then the last one was creating an indoor space, one downtown and one in the East End, because that's where the heaviest level of homelessness populations are, and to provide 24/7 support for these unsheltered people in those locations. So what has been done so far is they've created a 9-step process that includes parameters on when the city's bylaw will be involved in community task forces, and guidelines on dealing with encampments and the people who are living in them. And more specifically, they're going to be training police officers and law enforcement officers in general on low barrier approaches, harm reduction, and trauma-informed work. And I think that's number 1. We have basically been sending police officers out to encampments to just rip them down in the past year, and that is just the worst of the worst. That's how you make living homeless 10 times harder than it already is. So it's just such a huge moment of progress that these frontline workers have managed to get the city to actually agree for real action. Again, just so damn proud. I can't even really quite put it to words. But to that degree, that's why I wanted to lift myself out of my current depression to make this video, because the work they've done is 100% what this channel is all about. And so considering there can actually be a lot of negative energy in London at times, we have frequently had the highest murder rate in the city in the nation. To hear that we are making such incredible progress for our most vulnerable populations is just really fulfilling when it comes to feeling hopeless about the future. You know, it sparks that hope again. So I hope this was slightly uplifting to you. Please feel free to share in the comments below if you've experienced homelessness, if you know anyone who's experienced homelessness and the difficulties they've struggled, or any thoughts you have about their approaches. Maybe you have some ideas of different things that they should do. I didn't include all details, by the way. I was trying to make this somewhat brief, so do check out the articles below for more details about the whole campaign. But either way, in the end, it was a success, and that is something to very much be proud of. So I hope you enjoyed this, and as always, do join me again next week or sometime soon, where I try again to share a little something I've learned or experienced in life.